Hell Swarm!
Hailstorm.
Hellswarm.
This one.
Yep.
We got a couple of things that we're going to talk about. There's not too much stuff, so it'd be really quick. But before I even go into that, I want to let everybody know we do have a guild event later on after the meeting. I hope that you'll be able to attend. So without further ado, we'll go on into the meeting. First off, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pass the mic over to Deadman, and he's going to talk about something that's a little bit different. On with the show.
Ooh, different stuff.
Something new.
Something new, something shiny, something that Kitty and I have been working on actually. As you guys know, we've been trying to progress as a whole within the community. That means making sure that we're all able to take on certain content, whether it be dungeons, PvP, trade runs, where we're not getting completely rolled, and what have you. And in order to do that, the biggest thing we need to know is we need to know what kind of gear people have. One of the biggest things about this game is, yes, it is a huge skill-based game. You can actually do really well with having, mediocre to fairly decent gear against, evenly to slightly superior geared people. But when we're starting to roll against guilds such as Forest Crow or Wanted or Wicked or people like that, we need to make sure we're on the top of our game. One of the points of doing that is getting people geared. But how do we keep track of that? Kitty, you want to fill them in?
Yeah, basically in a nutshell, what we're planning on doing, Dad and I, is that there is a post on the forums, which I am trying to get the, link, so I can post it next to my comment. Of the list of your occupation, what is your main spec? Meaning, myself, I'm battle mage. I prefer to do battle mage. Your gear, rather if it's just quested gear or whatever the case may be. This way we can go back to the data sheet and say, okay, this person is ready for this dungeon, this person needs this dungeon, and, etc. That way we can progress more to go on to the 10-man raid. Once we, if you change a piece of gear to simply, change your, edit your thing on the forums, we will, edit it on the docs. So, like, I've got it, to where all you have to do is basically, it's an example I use myself. Make sure if you guys would put the grade. Sometimes the grade does matter of your gear, because if it's unique, you get better stats. Is there anything that I missed, Ed? Because
Just a little I want to add. Basically, the way this list works, kind of like what she said, you're going to be able to select your profession. It's going to automatically populate with what your three skill sets are. So that way, if it's like one of those off-the-wall deals like Hex Warden, where not everybody knows what that is, it has the three stats next to it. That way we can determine, okay, is this more of a tanking role? Is this more of a DPS role? Kind of helps us figure out what we have in terms of builds. That way we also know what we need for builds for the guild. Then moving right along past that, we have we have a column for each individual gear slot piece, and all you do is you select the set or the item that you are currently wearing, which we're still populating that list, but it'll be done here hopefully by the end of this week, as well as the grade that's next to it. Same with weapons, same with your instrument, same with your ranged weapon. Basically, the only thing that's not going to be on there is gliders and costume items. But when it's all said and done, you guys will be able to go in there, you'll be able to look at everything, but the update is going to rest solely with the KBKs, myself, Kitty, and anybody else who is in a position to handle that kind of stuff. The Dungeon Lord Warlord will definitely have access to go in and edit it, as well as all the KBK leaders.
Sweet. Oh, is there anything else?
Um. Oh, I did have one pretty good update as far as for the PvE side that I wanted to go over. We did have a very successful run on KC this week. Um, we did show that it does have some pretty easy points to it as long as people are paying attention to the mechanics. But the biggest thing that you really have to watch for, and this is where gear checks really come in handy, is the final boss of that place. He is a gear check and a half. If you want to take him on going toe to toe, you need top end gear. What I'm referring to is you need to have at the minimum KC gear um, or GHA, depending on what your spec is. But it is actually highly recommended that you go in there with at least, I would have to say, probably rare quality Magnificent if you really want to stand a chance against that guy. He is a beast of a fight. I did record that fight, and if you guys want to see it, I can post it up. But we did go in there and we did roll through him. It took us about 4 or 5 attempts to finish off that final boss, but it is a very, very intense dungeon, and it just goes to show what we've been looking at doing for a while. You know, pushing up through KC, pushing up through GHA, and getting into stuff like Sea of Drowned Love. That we really do have to gear ourselves up for these. It is not something we could just roll through on Hassler Quest gear.
Also, to add that, a couple of us last night, we were treasure hunting and just goofing off. Dad ran across a underwater world boss. He looked it up, and this is something to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. This boss drops, what is it, rare leather, Dad? Pieces?
Arcane.
Pirates? Okay. The
Forsaken
pirate pieces. Thank you. But it is level 50, 5-star. Which means, according to what Dad was reading, we need to have a full raid. We need to at least be geared, you know, especially our healers. Our healers are going to keep our tanks alive, to be able to take him on. Eventually, I am hoping that we can try to attempt to take him on. I personally think it would be a blast, but this is something to look forward to. To be able to just all of a sudden go down, and just beat him up.
Sweet,
What's the name of
excellent.
that boss?
Also, speaking of last night, 5 of us went and did the Sea of Drowned Love 5-man fight. The interesting part about this fight is that it's not super gear dependent. In fact, Sanctic Take did a DPS spec, but it is heavily mechanics. So if you want to work on your mechanics for things like Serpentis or some of the trickier fights in KC, it's a very good place to go into, and a couple of us do know all the mechanics that can help you beat it.
Nice, nice.
Awesome.
And for those of you who have the chat filter enabled, the blanked out word in my comment from Zachnofane is transition.
Awesome, awesome. Well, with that, the PVE seems to be ramping up pretty well, and I'm glad everyone is participating in it and getting things done and helping the chapter move forward. But as we all know, PVE is only a part of the game mechanics for this whole game. There's also farming, and then the farming and crafting, and then also in PvP. We already know. For those who don't know, Taskmaster has taken the lead and stepped up with the trying to coordinate the crafting and PV and crafting and the crafting stuff. So yeah, so I'm going to pass the mic over to Taskmaster and let him give you an update on some of the things that some of the progress on that. Taz, take it away.
Hellswarm.
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 Okay, first of all, I want to say thanks to everybody that participated last week for the guild crafters for me sending them bundles and them sending the mats back. That helps out more than you actually know, because that saves a little bit of labor in farming those mats, and it can go a long way in getting us those pots and that food that we need for these dungeon runs for Serpentis when we start doing it regularly and stuff like that. And I'm going to say after starting next week, I'm going to start making bundles and sending them out to people to plant for us. So if you want to be a regular that does that, be looking on the forums to see a post for that, to sign up. Um, and another thing, we're going to start trying to get the crafters uh, the, that make the gear, get people set up so that we can start making gears. Right now, the biggest issue is going to be the crystals, the dust, and shards and stuff. So what we're going to do is, right now, we're going to have to require that those things get sent by the person that wants the gear made. But other than that, the guild and everything's going to try to supply everything else with stuff that we've already collected and all that. If there's any issues, we'll come across those when we get there. But and I see that this game can be very crafting dependent, so we need to be as a guild when it comes to the crafting, because it is very labor intensive and you only get so much labor a day. But as long as everybody communicates and talks with me and lets me know what they need and what they want, then we can get that moving forward. And that's all I have. Hellswarm.
Hailstorm.
Yes.
Oh yeah, actually one more thing. Right now my vice quartermaster is Kaldaka. So if you don't see me on and see him on, you can get a message to him and he can get it to me, no problem.
Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. Now, of course, of course, everyone knows that we have the PVE stuff with the dungeons and questing and stuff, and then the crafting stuff. But we also have the PvP stuff. So, for I'm like, we're gonna try to ramp that up a little bit, or we're gonna try to get something going with that. But we need someone to take charge and kind of coordinate this effort. After a considerable amount of consideration and through consensus, we have elected a new warlord, someone who's going to take the sword of the swarm and lay waste to our enemies, or help lead the charge in that. Without further ado, I would like to introduce your newest warlord, Santic.
Hailstorm?
Hellswarm!
Yes.
Hellswarm.
Speech!
So I'm honored to take the position. We talked a little bit about what this means. I would like to set up a night. We were thinking Wednesday night at 6 o'clock p.m. to do some practice. I've noticed that our members, it's not that we're bad in PvP, it's that some of us like to go out in PvP and some of us don't, but there is always going to be a situation in this game where you're going to have to fight. And so we're trying to set up something at 6 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday nights, and I'll put it on the calendar. And we'll start out with just some small battles, and we'll do some duels and just talk about the mechanics. Yeah, Pacific time. And then from then on, we'll transition to group mechanics. And we'll talk about what that means a little bit more when we get there. But the first thing I want to do is we just talk about duels, talk about different skills, what you'll see. Yeah, that's correct.
That'd be 8
9
cents.
your guys' time. That seems to be a good tactic. So I look forward to that. Hopefully we can get some participation and get some fights going on. Do some 5v5s. When we get up there, some of us will probably end up going to jail. it's not too bad. We can play soccer. But yeah, I'll make sure to post that up and let everybody know, and I will mention it in chat as well.
All right, sweet, awesome, excellent, excellent. The other thing that I'll talk about is that recently we had a group of members come into the chapter, and as fast as they came into the chapter, they left the chapter. I'll just touch on this just a little bit. Whatever the case may be, or the reasons why they left, just try to understand, as I understand, not everyone's a good fit for a chapter or a community as a whole. Whatever the reasons why they left, they just left. They're gone. I can't do anything about it. But we have to keep on with the recruitment record. We always have to put recruitment in the forefront. Because I'm like, once we have the events going and stuff like that, we're doing things, the chapter will grow because people will see that. Especially in group dynamics and stuff like that. So as long as we keep the recruitment up, then it's all good. I'm not asking everyone to spend a lot of time on the recruitment, but if you can take, like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes of your time, out of your whole gaming time, whatever that gaming time is, and if you can take 5 minutes to do, like, try some recruitment, that'll be great. We do have threads on ArcheAge. You can post up and bump on that thread. I'm gonna try to do that as well. But I'm just gonna put one of these pictures up here for tonight's meeting, and get that posted up there, so people know that we're here, and we're not green. We're something. We're Swarm. That's what we are. So with that, before I get into promotions, what we're going to do is open up the floor with the question and answer section. This gives you the chance and opportunity to have your voice be heard. So this way, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, we'll try to answer those the best we can, and we'll go onward with that. So I see. That man, you have one?
Yes, I do. In regards to the recruitment thread on the forums, that was last bumped a few days ago by myself, and it's already on page 2. So just so you guys know, that needs to be bumped daily, and it needs to be different people. One of the biggest things about recruitment is if your guild looks like you just got 1 or 2 people that's actively bumping the forums to keep your post to the top, it looks like you're a spam guild, or it looks like you're a guild of like 1 to 2, maybe 3 people. If we have, like, say 15 to 20 people posting and constantly, being like, hey, this is a great place to be and all that kind of stuff, it starts becoming catchy. That's one of the biggest successes we had in the Neverwinter chapter initially during our first initial build-up stage. We went from 5, maybe 6 active people wanting to join the chapter from within the swarm to getting almost 50 new recruits inside of a month. That was a pretty ridiculous number, and the growth was explosive within that chapter initially. And ESO had a lot of similar successes in their chapter by doing the same thing. So if we really want to see this chapter grow, that's one of the things we need to be focusing on as a whole. And it's not just the Herald or Vice Herald's responsibility to do that, but it's everybody in the chapter's responsibility to keep this thread post up. And I'm going to put a link in my vent comments so that way you guys can go check it out, read through it, and add some comments in there.
Link's already in my comments for you, Dad.
Oh, thank you very much.
Sweet. Kitty?
As y'all well know, I've been kind of busy lately. I'm hoping to be able to get back and start posting the dungeons on the calendar. So I would go ahead and start checking that again daily, if not every other day. I've had some personal things come down my way, and hoping by next week that everything will be settled down to where we can start getting into what I like to call mischief again. So if y'all would just check the calendar, and if there's any particular dungeon that you want to try, run, or just simply go in. message me via in-game mail. Would be a lot faster to get a hold of me, or you can message me in Vent. I do check my computer quite often when I'm away. That's pretty much it, Zod. Go ahead.
Sweet. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Questions going once? Comments going twice? Concerns 3 times, and I guess that would end our question and answer sections for this month. So, onward to the next step. Next step is something that always everyone's waiting for is promotion. Promotion is almost the highlight of the day. And I believe we have a soldier bee test to give out. And I believe that is blah.
Terminal grade.
Yeah, and I think I'll let Deadman do that because I'm keep being afraid that my internet's gonna bail on me. So if Deadman, would you administer the test?
I will. As you guys know, promotions is a major part of the community. It's how we show our growth as a unit, but it's also how we recognize that members are active within the community as well as really willing to be here. That's the biggest part. You know, we want to make sure our members are willing to be here, and part of that is progressing through the promotion system. So, without further ado, Terminal Grave, are you ready for your Soldier Bee test? Excellent. Okay, as always, I like to start off my test with something straight from the 10 laws. So we'll go with a fairly easy one. What is uh, law number 5, and why, or how can it be detrimental to a chapter if it's not followed?
Am I allowed to cheat on?
It is open book. There is no cheating. You can look up everything.
The fifth law is positive attitude, and the rest of the question was how could it be detrimental to it? It can be detrimental if people are overly positive and give people a false sense of where they stand. But as far as gear goes, as far as skill levels go, you don't have to tear people down, but it is important sometimes to give people constructive criticism rather than simply lying all the time and saying claiming everything's great when it is not.
Okay. Now, could you also give me an example of how not following that law would also be detrimental?
Negative attitudes are contagious. One person has a negative attitude and constantly tears other people down, other people start to join in. Eventually everybody's having a bad time and everything falls apart.
Excellent. That is actually very, very much what I was looking for. Positive attitude is one of the most important things within a chapter. As our law actually states in the first 2 sentences, have fun. That's what it's all about. You know, we're not here to sit here and drill it through you and go, okay, we got to raid 30 hours a week. You guys, come on, pull it together. No, no jokes, none of that stuff. You know, straight faces the whole time. That's not what we're all about. We're all here to have fun. If we wind up, making some mistakes, we laugh it off and keep going. It's not about focusing on the negative. It's about focusing on what's the fun of the game.
We are
All
not
right.
elitists.
Exactly. Okay, second question. Now we'll get into something a little more fun and a little bit more in depth. Coming straight out of the policy section, what is our age policies within the Sinister Swarm.
Age 18 or over is acceptable if between the ages of 13 and 17 you have to have a parent or a guardian who's a member of the Sinister Swarm.
Perfect, nail on the head. The reason behind this, for any of you who doesn't know, is there are certain laws in effect that state that if you're between the ages of 13 and 18, you must have a parent or guardian complete a registration process with you to basically assume responsibility for you. This is known as the COPPA laws. That is a perfect answer on that one. All right, so final one, and we're going to go straight into the ranks section for this. Okay, as we did speak a little bit about the PvP section tonight, and that we now have a new warlord within the chapter. There's various things that are held within the PvP section. Could you tell me what the title is for the person who is the commander of our stealth force? Also known as a strike team. And to give you a little bit of help, if you're looking for that title is located, it is a chapter support title.
You said this was in the ranks, titles, and awards section?
Correct, specifically under the chapter support titles.
Stinger?
That would be the group. What is their commander's name? Or their commander's title?
Alt tab, then I lost.
You can do it, man. Don't be afraid to help him out, man.
Yep.
So I'm sitting on the rank pick.
You had the group correct. If you, it's I'm not gonna give it out, but look at the knight rank. It's in within that area.
Open book tests are always the worst.
I know. So much info to look through.
Stinger.
Ding, ding, ding. Very good. And I'm not going to have you hunt through and find out who all is a Stinger Lord within the chapter and give me a name or anything. We only currently have one listed on our community diagram as a Stinger Lord, and it is in the Guild Wars 2 chapter. But basically, what this title does, as I mentioned when I asked the question, is they are basically a strategic strike team or a stealth force, or basically the best of the best that go in. They target the enemy in a really, really weak point, or where they think they're strongest, aka their healers, and we take out that so we can decimate the rest of their ranks with little to no worry. So yeah, that was a correct answer, and I congratulate you on your promotion to Soldier Bee. Congrats, man.
I did find his name. Talk.
Very good. Bonus points.
Congrats, Hellswarm.
Woohoo! Hellswarm.
Hellswarm.
Congrats.
And I think that's all the promotions that we have. If I'm wrong, I do apologize. All right, sweet. And for those members who are new, I just want to welcome all you newer members who are actually in there in our Sinister Swarm community, and we welcome you. I thank you for joining us, and don't forget to get your post count up. You need at least 10 posts to get to Worker Bee. Let's see. Yeah, I was just about thinking about that, dead man. First, I like to apologize to everyone. I was supposed to post up the recap, and the winner of the Flame Lord pet. Unfortunately, I was having internet issues, and I did have the winner on a piece of paper, but then I had all these internet issues, and I lost the piece of paper, and so forth. So so at this point, I already randomized it at least 3 times on random.org for the winner, and today's winner of the Flame Lord pet is Woolly. Ah, crap.
Real? Me?
Gandalf.
Woolsey.
Holy
Congrats,
smokes!
Woolsey.
Woohoo!
I know.
Join the rank of the Battle Pets.
Alright.
So congratulations, Woolsey. You actually will get the Flame Lord pet that we worked to get.
I remember
right.
it was.
He was actually one of the ones that was with us.
Yes, he was. And I'll be mailing that to you right.
Open it up. Make him yours.
I have to get to that while.
And I want to thank everyone who participates in these raffles. This helps us raise guild funds. The guild funds are used for a variety of things. For example, Taz sends me bills all the time about how much stuff he buys for the bundles and seeds and stuff like that. So he sends me a bill, and I just pay him.
And we just grow it. So we get credit too.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to give a big, huge shout out to my family. They've been very detrimental to getting all these nets made and all these crafting supplies formed for us.
Also, on that note, Taz, if you need any oils such as small root, small seed, any of the oils up to 40k, send Taz or myself a message, and we can notify the alchemist so we can get that particular oil made. Also, in the game message, please indicate how many you are requesting. That way we can get it out to you. Sorry, Dad.
All good. I just wanted to go ahead and add a little bit of an addition on the raffle. As you guys know, we've also been collecting money for the Polaris Cub that my Bears pulled out a couple weeks ago, and we're going to go ahead and raffle that one off. There were 95 tickets total sold. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already done a few practice rolls on the random.org. I'm going to go ahead and do the official roll now. I have a spreadsheet with all the numbers added on it, so I will throw that in and we will get ourselves a winner here in about a few seconds. All right, today's winner of this raffle is Cedrissa. So even though she's not present, I will go ahead and mail that to her. But just so you guys know, as I mentioned when I first announced this raffle a couple weeks ago, it was 1 gold per ticket, maximum of 20 per person. As I said, we got a total of 95 tickets, so that's 95 gold that went straight into guild funds. I take no profit out of any of this, as it is almost nothing to myself to actually make this. So these are specifically for guild fundraising. If I get any more bears in the near future, we'll go ahead and do some more of these. That way everybody has a chance at potentially getting a nice little white fuzzy companion.
Due to circumstances that were totally beyond my control, the rest of the meeting got blurted out. So what I'm just going to say from this point on is that concludes the meeting. I'm glad that everyone was able to attend. Hopefully next time we will have a nice video that will show a might kind of deal within the Sinister Swarm. But in the meantime, stay tuned and thank you, and Hell Swarm!